This is music, and this is the Japan Vinyl Tech 2024. I guess it's time for another Vinyl Tech, this time the Japan Vinyl Tech 2024, started by Tokyo Record Style. We have 20 questions. Some of these are kind of abstract, so this was a little bit of a challenge, but hey, let's give it a go. The first question is called Obi One. Show a record with a Japanese Obi strip or alternatively a cool insert. I'm going to show this one here, Ice Cream, The End, Complete Discography. You've got the Obi right here. Japanese punk band. This is a compilation of everything they put out, which just amounts to a handful of demo tapes. So the production is kind of undergroundy, but some of the songs actually sound very kind of professional in the production. We're dealing with angry punk, and Yuko, their vocalist, I believe this is her eyes. It sounds like a very angry woman, but this is perfect then. Awesome punk rock. You got the Obi here, like I said, if I said that. Now, this is a complete failure for me because this is actually not a Japanese Obi because this was released on a label called FOAD Records. I think they're Italian. I'm pretty sure they're a European label anyhow. So this is a European Obi, but it's an Obi nonetheless. The second question is called a Japanese band or artist. Show a Japanese band or artist or Japan-inspired band or artist. I'm going to go with Misako Hanjo. This is Trigger. Hey, real Obi, Japanese Obi. So hey, maybe it wasn't an epic fail anyhow. She was a heavy metal hard rock vocalist from the 80s. She put out some really good albums back then. I just wanted to show this one because I really like the photo on the cover. So there you go, a Japanese artist. Uh, the third question is called Sunrise Soundtrack because Japan is the land of the rising sun. So share an album for watching a sunrise. Now, I don't sit around and watch sunrises while listening to music. I do get up very early in the morning, but I normally work out and then I'm off to work on my bicycle. However, in wintertime, because I live in Northern Europe, it's often still dark out when I jump on my bicycle and go off to work, and then the sun will rise while I bicycle to work. And I do listen to music very often on my iPod. So technically, there is music I listen to while the sun rises, at least in the winter. And one of the bands I often listen to while bicycling is Bandmate, because I like the energy. It's perfect for bicycling. So this is the World Domination album. Uh, Modern melodic hard rock, very catchy, but also a lot of details to their compositions. Uh, One of my favorite bands. So there you go. This is part of like this Sunrise soundtrack in one way or another. The fourth question is called City Sounds. Show a record with a city vibe, like Tokyo's bustling um, city vibe. Gotta go with City Pop. Each Time by Eiichi Otaki. You even have Cityscape here. Doesn't get more city vibey than that. So there you go. Question 5 is called Zen Listening. Show a record that quiets your mind, like in Zen meditation. Now, I guess if you do mindfulness or something like that, it's really a matter of focusing on something in the here and in the now. So I guess it doesn't have to be chill music. It can also be very detailed music with lots of things going on you can focus on. So I figured I would pick an album that's somewhere in between. Uh, it's kind of chill, but there are also lots of interesting details you can focus on. Place to Be by Hiromi. Uh, she is a Japanese jazz pianist. Some of her albums have a full ensemble. Some of them is just her by her piano. Uh, but it's always chill when I listen to it. But there are lots of details as well. So this, I guess, would be perfect for mindful listening and somehow, clearing out your mind. So there you go. The sixth question is called Go 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 Godzilla. Share a record that destroyed your music expectations and perceptions. Just like Godzilla destroyed Tokyo so many times now. Those of you who know me, you will know what album I'm going to show. It's not a Japanese artist. Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time. This is the album that set me off on my journey as a rock and metal fan, prog rock fan too. And when I heard this back in the late 80s on a fishing trip, I'd never heard anything like this before. I hadn't heard anyone sing like that. I hadn't heard guitars like that. The twin guitars, the galloping guitars. I hadn't heard the mechanical clockwork drumming, precise drumming by Nico McBrain before, and I hadn't obviously heard anything sounding like Steve Harris's bass before. So this started it all. This is the album that got me going, so I had to show that one. Somewhere in Time. Speaking of time, the seventh question is called Ahead of Its Time. Share a record that was ahead of its time, just like Japan was and they continue to be ahead of their time when it comes to technology. Ironically, I'm going to show another non-Japanese artist, King Crimson, Court of the Crimson King. Uh, Dark psychedelic jazz meets rock, progressive rock music. And I think this is ahead of its time because of 20th Century Schizoid Man, that song, which is dark and disturbing, and it captures the same dark vibe that a lot of extreme metal bands and doom metal bands would explore much later, and also a lot of gothic rock bands and that dark alternative rock that was popular in the 80s. They were ahead of their time with that, I think, dark vibe in rock music. So there you go. Uh, the eighth question is called Take a Walk, Man. So this is a tribute to the Sony Walkman. Those of us who were working class kids could not afford Sony Walkman, so we had other brands. But so this is just a tribute to the Walkman uh, from me here. Show an album suitable for dubbing to a cassette for the Sony Walkman. I can actually opt that. I can show you an album that's I don't even need to dub. Wow Wow Cyclone, already on a cassette tape. This is 80s heavy metal from Japan. Wow Wow, also known as Bow Wow, fantastic metal band. This is also as 80s metal as it gets. Even some AOR has been thrown in. So I think that's perfect for listening to on a Walkman. And it's already on a pre-recorded cassette tape. So there you go. The ninth question is called Bullet Train. Show record, perfect for a train ride. I have been on the bullet train before in Japan and lots of other types of train in Japan, and I've never listened to music on the bullet train or on any train in Japan. But here in my home country, whenever I am on the train, I listen to music. Same story as with the bicycling. I listen to stuff on my iPod. Uh, but I figured this would be a good fit for the bullet train. Sacrifice, total steel, Japanese, thrash metal, fast, aggressive, but also with that Japanese sense of melody that a lot of just metal has in Japan in general. So they would be perfect for the scenery rushing by. So there you go, some Japanese thrash metal. Then you have the 10th question called Lost in Translation. Share a record that takes you to a different world. I'm not transported to different worlds when I listen to music, but I can show you a record that takes me to a different time, namely back to the 90s. Lizzie Miss Lizzie, their self-titled debut. This is an album I would listen to a lot. Back in the early 90s, this one and their other 90s album, Rotator. And whenever I listen to it now, I have good memories of the 90s, so I'm transported back to the 90s. This is another power trio, and it's melodic hard rock with very catchy choruses and melodies, and very unique vocals and kind of progressive leanings. These guys were big in Denmark, but there's a Japanese connection because they were also popular in Japan and they did play a bunch of shows live in Japan. Speaking of live, the 11th question is live at the Budokan. Share a record that was recorded live. It's got to be this one. Deep Purple, Made in Japan. I don't even think I need to say anything about this. I think it's the perfect record for that question. It was the first live album I ever heard. I didn't even have the conception in my mind when I was a kid that you could do live albums, but my dad had a copy of this that he would let me and my brother listen to when we were kids. And I actually picked this up. This is a reissue, of course, not too long ago. So I think this is the perfect album for that question. And so question 12, vinyl bar DJ. Show a record to play at a vinyl bar. Now, in Japan, apparently, there's a kind of bar called a vinyl bar where you go, buy a drink, you sit quietly and listen to vinyl records played by the house DJ, often the owner. And it sounds like it's often like jazz fusion or something like that. Uh, I would play this though in a Japanese vinyl bar. Metal Lucifer, Heavy Metal Bulldozer. This is new wave of traditional heavy metal, Japanese artist. Very inspired by new wave of British heavy metal. Very actually quite catchy and more melodic than you might think. The vocals are kind of gruff, but you know, it's perfect. And all the songs have heavy metal in the title, and it's gratifying to sing along to. Now, wouldn't I get kicked out of the vinyl bar for playing this loud music? No, cause if the in-house DJ is the owner, it's my freaking vinyl bar, and it's a rock and metal vinyl bar. I won't have it any other way. Anyways, the 13th question is share a record with an island vibe. So it's called Island Nation because Japan is an island nation. And the first record that came to my mind was this one here because of the cover artwork. Tsukiyami K, Kona Weather. Here you have another Obi Strip. And it's just because of the cover artwork, the beach and all that stuff. It's actually city pop, but the artwork has an island vibe. Okay, the 14th question is monsoon season. Share a record for a rainy day. Now, my listening habits are not dictated by the weather, so I could listen to anything on a rainy day. So I just picked this one here, Love Bites, Glory, Glory to the World. It's actually an EP, Japanese power metal band. I know their fans get angry when you call them power metal, but to me, the key style is power metal. They have lots of other elements, heavy metal, sometimes some progressive metal, symphonic metal, even hard rock, and power thrash, and so on and so forth. This is a fantastic band, fantastic musicians, fantastic composers, and this is a great EP. And I figured if you are the type of person that needs some uplifting music on a rainy day, I think this would do the job. The 15th question is called Wabi Sabi. Show a record that's imperfectly perfect. Because in Japanese material culture, there's this notion that something that's slightly imperfect is actually more beautiful than something that is perfect. So I figured, hey, this one here, Link to Sikore, it's actually called imperfect, and it's even spelled in an imperfect way because there's an apostrophe in it. This is a Japanese power trio again, alternative rock with elements from noise rock, and they're kind of progressive in their own way, very dynamic drumming. They use a lot of dissonant chords. The vocals are kind of high-pitched, squeaky male vocals, but they fit the music very well and they sound very aggressive and almost like desperate. And then their bass player, who's a lady, she does backing vocals and she has a great voice, but it also sounds, it's very emotional, it's very powerful, but sometimes she doesn't quite hit the actual keys. She's off a little bit and her voice crackles a little bit. It's very emotional. So I think her voice is actually uh, imperfectly perfect. Uh, Great stuff, great band. If you like your alternative rock, this is worth checking out for sure. And the 16th question is called Origami Me. Show a record with an intricate or interesting packaging. I'm going to show one that doesn't have an intricate packaging, but it's very interesting and kind of confusing. This brand new single by Maximum the Hormone. First of all, it comes with an unusual Obi with this extension on, so that's interesting. Secondly, what we have on the front is at the wrong angle. Normally it would be like this, right? But it's at this angle. And also there's a barcode. So what we have on the front of the booklet is normally what you have on the back of a CD. And what you have on the back here is actually the front cover art. And also you have this strategically placed sticker, uh, which kind of asks something along the lines of what's the identity of the cuddly girl? And when you then pull out the booklet, you get her identity. And so there you go. The booklet is a pretty straightforward booklet, but it is kind of like two themed because you actually have it's a single, but you have two discs. This one has two re-recordings of some classics, and this one has, I think, a new song in two different versions. And the booklet itself, then you have this right on the back, and you have lots of like details and so on and so forth in the booklet. So it's not necessarily like an intricate packaging, but they are definitely messing with us with this front to back and back to front and upside down and whatever, and an extended OB and what have we. So I think it counts at least as an interesting packaging. So the 17th album or 17th question is called Fusion Frenzy. Share an album that fuses genres. Or high band with friends. Live at streaming. Why? Because it's jazz fusion. So it doesn't get more fusion than that. Jazz and rock fusion. Some of these musicians are actually part of Baby Metal's Japanese backing band. So there you go. And the 18th question is called Tokyo Nights. So show a record that has kind of a night live vibe to it. And I'm going to show this one here. Keiji Katayama, Odessa File. And here you have another Obi. And this is an insert Obi, by the way. So it's kind of attached to the insert. And I just picked this one because it kind of has like the vibe of all the sinful things people do at night when they go to bars, go to discos, go and hang around on the corners, go visit each other. You know what I mean? It kind of captures that. This is a hard rock metal album, and the vocalist Keiji Katayama has a dark and soulful voice, and that also has a bit of a nighttime feel to it. It's got a fantastic voice. This is a great album just for the vocals alone. And And then you have a related question, end of the day, um, or Utsukarasema, show a record to play at the end of a busy day. And the reference is to like a lot of Saturday men in Japan work overtime and then they have to drink with the boss and maybe even go out and drink at bars with the boss and they get home very late. Uh, Fortunately, that's not the case where I live. So I figured this could actually be a fun record to play at the end of the day. Rajas, because it's a it's first of all, it's an EP, so it's pretty short, so you don't have to sit around and listen to it for that long. Secondly, it's a Japanese glam metal band, so it's fun, just like a fun, uplifting way to finish off the long day. And if you went out drinking with your boss and all that stuff, maybe you did a little bit of partying. This is glam metal. They sing a lot about partying. So I figured, hey, why not? And the last question is called The Last Samurai. Share record remembered, share record to be remembered by, to play at your memorial. So basically, a record you want people to play at your funeral. Thanks for watching.